got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, 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 come on. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need control. I fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop, stop, stop. Under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. Stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling. Yeah. So keep dancing. Oh, yeah, yeah. I can't stop the. 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 Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. Everybody say.
Mama said, don't give up, it's a little complicated, all tied up said, don't give up, it's a little complicated. All tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. They say it's all been done, but they haven't seen the best of me. So I got one more run, and it's gonna be a sight to see. Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision, always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living, didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision, always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living, didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes.
Know that I'm running out of time. I want it all. And I'm wishing they'd stop trying to turn me off. I want it on. And I'm walking on a wire, trying to go higher. Feels like I'm surrounded by clowns and liars. Even when I give it all away, I want it all. We came here to We came here to run it, run it, run it. Come on, Las Vegas. Just like fire, burning up the way. If I can light the world up for just one day, watch this madness, colorful charade. No one can be just like me anyway. Just like magic, I'll be flying free. I'ma disappear when they come for me. I kick that ceiling, what you gonna say? No one can be just like me anyway. Just like fire. People like to laugh at you, say are all the same. See, I would rather we just go a different way than play the game. And no matter the weather, we can do it better. You and me together forever and ever. We don't have to worry about a thing. Come on! Run it. We came here to run it, run it. Just like fire, burning up the way. If I can light the world up for just one day, watch this madness, colorful charade. No one can be just like me anyway. Just like magic, I'll be flying free. I'ma disappear when they come for me. I kick that ceiling, what you gonna say? No one can be just like me anyway. Just like fire, fire. So look, I came here to run it, just 'cause nobody's done it. Y'all don't think I can run it, but look, I've been here, I've done it. Impossible, please, do it with ease. Come on with me. What's it gonna do? Hey, what's it gonna do? What's it gonna do? What's it gonna do? Fire, burning up the way. If I can light the world up for just one day. Madness, colorful charade. No one can be just like me anyway. Just like fire. If I can light the world up for just one day, watch this madness, colorful charade. No one can be just like me anyway. Just like magic, baby, I am free. I'ma disappear when they come for me. I kick that ceiling, what you gonna say? No one can be just like me anyway. Just like fire.
All right, Miss Beth, you can take it away.
Hi, everybody. I see some familiar faces there. And let's see here. Welcome to Primetime Notaries, where notaries of a certain age gather to talk about the challenges of being an older signing agent. We also exchange some information, tips, and tricks. And as a bonus, we include some general notary information as well. So today is Wednesday, June 16th, and this is a once monthly event that you have to register for each session that you want to attend. Just as a reminder for everybody, if you keep your mics muted when you're not actively engaged in speaking, so as to minimize the background noise during the webinar. If you have a question, if you know how to raise your hand, that's the most effective way. Or type in the chat window. We'll try to keep track of that as well. We're happy to see everyone join us. So if you're dressed, turn on your video cameras. We like to see those smiling faces. We don't care if your hair is not combed, just as long as you have clothes on, we're in good shape. We do have a set agenda for today, but it definitely includes you. So if you have any questions as we go along, pipe up, raise your hand, or type in the chat window, okay? One quick note, Primetime Notaries does have a website, primetimenotaries.com. There's also a contact page on that website if you want to submit any questions prior to the next webinar that we can address during that session, or you can just send an email to contact@primetimenotaries.com. So stay tuned today. We have a special guest with us and a few giveaways to do at the end of the session. My name is Beth Hathout. I've been a notary since 1994. I'm dating myself, Carol, and a signing agent since 2001. I did work for a local title company as a processor and a closer for a few years before starting my own signing service. That dissolved when the market crashed in 08, 09, and since then I've just concentrated on building and filling my own schedule. I'm currently an instructor for Notary Stars, owned and operated by Ronnie Mickle. I am joined today by Miss Carol Ray, Mr. Ronnie Mickle, and Miss Phyllis Traylor. Our guest speaker is Mr. Tim Ramsey of RPM Services, and we'll be hearing from him a little later in the program. He's going to talk to us about the problem all of our new notaries are having now, and that's with printer equipment. So Phyllis, if you'd like to kick this off and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
I had to unmute myself. Thank you, Beth. Hi, my name is Phyllis Traylor, and I am located in the great state of Texas. I'm in a little town called Cibolo, which is right outside of San Antonio. I've been a notary for about 12 years now. I am a former student of Miss Carol Ray. She helped me get started. I am the owner of the Texas Notary Public Training Academy. I'm also the owner of the Texas Notary Patron Learning Community. We have a great group of notaries that work together, supporting each other in that particular community. My background is I'm retired from the Army. I spent 20 years in the Army. I was a full-time a professor at one of the local colleges and a visiting professor at one of the local universities. In 2018, I was nominated as one of the, I was awarded the Notary of the Year Special Honoree Award at the NNA conference. And at the Texas Notary Conference here in Texas, held by the Texas Secretary of State, I was a presenter there. And I am happy to be here and happy to see so many people here. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Phyllis, and thanks for being here with us today. We really appreciate that. And Miss Carol Ray, also a pleasure to see you today. Do you want to give us your speech on who you are and what you do?
Sure. Basically, I was stay-at-home mom for many years, got back into escrow, retired as an escrow manager, did signings for 14 years. And in 2009, decided to start training to raise the bar in the industry. At that point in time, there was no sufficient training at all, especially for loan signing agents. And so we started almost 12 years ago. Phyllis, as she said, was one of my graduates, and I followed her to Texas. We were in Arizona and then California, and now we're not too many miles apart, but because of COVID, we've yet to get a hug from each other. And before we go on, I want to introduce somebody that I see for the first time ever. I have to just welcome Ray Dillon. He's in Arizona, and for years he owned a signing service, and he was one of the best people I ever worked with for years. And we've kind of have, catch up now. He's no longer a signing service owner, but he's going to get back into the business of doing loan signings himself. And I'm really happy to see you here, Ray. And so that's all. I just welcome everybody, and I'm looking forward to this evening and hearing what you all have to say and ask.
Thank you, Carol. And last but not least, Mr. Ronnie Mickle.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ronnie from Unlimited Ink Notary. A lot of you that have worked with me probably recognize the voice from over the phone. I love doing these things because I get to see some of the faces. I do recognize faces as we go through and names of people I've worked with. Outside of owning my signing agency, Unlimited Ink, I also own a separate company called Notary Stars, which is a directory and a training course and information highway for notaries. I started it because I felt that there were too many places on the internet, I call them dead websites like Notary Rotary and 123 Notary, that are just unmanned websites that survive off of user input, and then a lot of that user input is negative. So I wanted to create a information highway in order for notaries to find information easy, quick, and I say list, learn, and earn all at the same time at an affordable rate, because I got tired of websites taking $5.95, only the price of a cup of coffee every month, and not giving me anything back. So those are the two things that I do, but I'm happy to be here because as a signing agency owner, we do work with a lot of older generation notaries, and I feel like sometimes the older generation of notaries can feel forgotten about, that, that this career is, for the young hustle and bustle, and it's not. We have a lot of people who just do one signing a day because that's their retirement job. And to me, that's an amazing career because that's what I'm planning on retiring doing. I'm not going to be the 10 notary a day guy. I'm going to be the 1 notary a day guy, and then I'm going to go play golf after.
Thank you, Ronnie. And thanks to Ronnie and Carol for actually bringing this webinar to you today. It's a collaborative effort, and we appreciate you very much. Normally, at this point in our program, I go through a notary hack. I'm actually going to move that to the end of the program, only in the event that we have enough time. We try to keep these at an hour and 15 minutes, somewhere around in there. We've got a lot of information we want to present today, so my notary hack will only be presented if we have time towards the end. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our main topics, and our first speaker is Carol Ray.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you introducing me twice.
Before
Okay.
we started, Miss Carol, though, can I say one thing? And I don't know if Miss Beth planned it, but I just can't wait, and I don't want to.
I've never heard you say one thing, Ronnie.
Well, I just want everybody to turn on their cameras and give a big wave and wish Miss Carol and her husband a happy anniversary, which just passed.
58 years.
58 years. That
Happy
is
anniversary.
That is an accomplishment and a half, and then another one to make it 58 years. So I just want to make sure we get that in today because I know we have a lot to go over. So happy anniversary to you. And
Thank you. And that came from a couple that was disowned from, well, me disowned from my family for marrying a cowboy. We ran off with $100 to Las Vegas with a couple of friends and got married in the little white chapel, which is quite famous. And yeah, here we are, 58 years.
Amazing.
Okay. What I wanted to talk about tonight is, I assume that a lot of you are seniors because it's prime time. And I wanted to talk to you about my dealings with so many of my students. I noticed a few years ago, I went from the 20s and the 30 years old students. I was now getting 40, 50, 60, 70 old students. I have one who is now, well, he's in his late 80s, and he was one of the first ones. He's a NASA engineer in the 60s, right there in the front, you know, the people that you saw on the TV. And he worked for years in his 70s and early 80s. But as we all know, seniors are being disrespected, truly, in this country. It's been apparent to me because of some of the stories that I've heard. One man, 30 years with a corporation, and then ousted. They decided to retire him without any benefits at the age of 59. He called me when he was 60 years old, and he said he and his wife had gone through everything they had. He's been sending out hundreds of resumes. I don't know how many of you have gone through this situation, but it's horrible. No, not one interview, because of the questions that they ask from you when you apply for these jobs. They know how old you are. And so they're totally disrespected. By the way, he and his wife, well, he signed up and he's a loan signing agent now, and very happy that he's not under the corporate, you know, people. And this is despite all of the experience that we have to offer, the maturity, the value that we have as seniors with all of the years that we've all worked hard. We come from generations that have been making us work hard to earn every dollar that we have. And for most of the people that are my students, you know, they've been, you know, painters and post office workers and truck drivers and you name it, gardeners. I've got people from all walks of life. We've got thousands of people. But I wanted to go over a few of the things that I find that are really a big problem. First of all, seniors more than the young people are scared to death to get into this. And a lot of them have their experiences, their past life experiences, and the things that they did in life were not really conducive to going to people's homes and going through documents and doing that. It's very different for them. So I find that they're very nervous when in fact they're so well qualified because they care so much about what they do that they are great loan signing agents. And I will say I want to talk to every one of my students before they go to do their first signing. It's very important because they need not just information, they need some real enthusiastic build up and some confidence. And I'm very well qualified to be able to give that to them. I think it's so important that we're there. One of the things that I tell my students, and I know there's a lot of you here, but I tell them especially on their first signing and thereafter, always, always be yourself. Don't ever pretend to be something that you're not. I had a fellow who was a cowboy from Oklahoma, and he called me with his first signing, and he said, Miss Carol, I got my first signing, and I got it. And we talked for a little while, and I said, look, what is it, Jimmy, or whatever his name was, that you want to be? How do you want to present yourself? Oh, Miss Carol, I just want to be a real professional. And I said, so you're going to wear a suit and tie and everything? And he says, no, that's not what you taught me. And I said, just be yourself. Don't worry about acting like you're just a know-it-all and you're a corporate executive or something. You're charming, you're nice looking, just be yourself. And I could literally hear him going, I want to be a professional, to, oh, really? And that's exactly what he did. You could just hear him relax. So those of you who are not experienced or you're fairly new, please remember that. It's so important, because if you're not yourself, that little ding, ding, ding bell goes off in people's heads and they won't trust you. That signing's going to go sideways. Believe me. I mean, I'm a klutz, okay? I talk too much like Ronnie. When I have gone to signing, I left a shoe on the porch one time, and then another time I fell flat on my face because I caught my foot, going in the door. You just have to, I laugh when I do stuff like that, like falling in a theater in front of the Law Stadium, people, probably 500 people, fell flat on my face, popcorn one way, soda to the other. And all I could do is look at everybody and say, I sure hope this movie's worth it. But it's really important that you be yourself. But here's some of the real problems that we face, and I made some notes. I think that one of the most difficult things is the night driving. I don't know if other people have this problem, but I sure did. My husband did when we started working together. And in Arizona in particular, there's a lot of building in like Sun City and places like that, where seniors live, especially. And they've done the stupidest things, these contractors. They put addresses on the face of the houses, and they put it in the same color as the darn stucco. Try to find that at night. Beth, you probably know about that, right, Ronnie?
It can get difficult,
It
yeah.
does. You need to,
Even in the daytime, it can be hard.
it is, it really is. So number one, when you're setting up the appointments, find out if there's anything that distinguishes their house from somebody else. Do they have a white picket fence? Is there a red truck in the driveway? Is there a fountain? Is there a light on the address thing? Always carry big flashlights, something that's really gonna show it up. So that's one of the things. Also reading documents when they have the tiny font is difficult. So if you need to get a, like this magnifying glasses that you can actually wear, that's they help a lot, because I know I have a hard time with tiny dogs. Night driving is difficult. If you don't feel comfortable driving at night, then take your daytime signings. A lot of my students don't care to do, like Ronnie said, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have some that do it. They do. I have one gal who, for all of 2020, did between 6 and 10 a day, 7 days a week. She had a daughter who was very ill, and she wanted to buy her a condom because she wasn't able to work. And she did it. She made like $300,000. But don't take those signings if you're not comfortable driving at night, and don't feel guilty about it. Another thing that's a big thing is bathroom needs. This is something nobody really wants to talk about, but it happens. So of course, the obvious, use your own bathroom before you leave for signings. If you feel the need, stop at a service station. Worst comes to worst, you're going to have to ask the customer if you can use their restroom. And when you're older, they're pretty sympathetic because either they're old or they're young, and they hopefully respect elders. Some of the things that my daughter faces this, because she has problems every once in a while, and she suggested, she was telling me what she did the other day, is that she carries a little in her bag that she carries in. She says, you're always, if you do have to use someone's restroom, carry that bag with you. Never leave it anywhere. It goes with you wherever you are, for obvious reasons. But in that bag, she carries several things. she carries these little teeny soaps. And she said, let's see, what did she say? Or a soap in a bag. And then she carries some paper towels. She's kind of germophobic. So she carries just a few folded paper towels from her own home. And she's obviously very respectful, but there are times that you have to do that, and don't feel bad about it. I've always said, don't use people's facilities, but sometimes when you're older, you just have. So that's one of the things. Also, it's difficult for some people to go upstairs. I personally, I'm 78, and I've got really bad knees. I use a scooter to get around. It would be very difficult for me to do signings now, but going upstairs has been a problem for me for years. So you need to make sure that when you take a signing, that if you have to climb a lot of stairs, you may not want to take it. And you'll get to know, if you're lucky, you'll get to know the owners or the people that run the signing services, and people that were so good to me, like Ray Dillon. And then also we have to face things like being uncomfortable. We have back problems, hip problems, knee problems, things like that. So always kind of keep that in mind about, when you take the signings. If you find out that that's in an area where you're going to have to do a lot of walking or something like that, then you might want to consider, not taking it. Nowadays, it's not like we had personal relationships, though, with the signing services. We get texts and we get, if you're lucky, a phone call, but it's worth looking into if you do have severe problems, because you don't want to get there and then realize, look, I can't do this. Also, you want to make sure that that people are well. And I think it's important to make sure that people are healthy when you're going there, especially now with COVID. Don't be afraid to ask them the same questions we get when we go to our doctor's offices. Have you been around anybody that has COVID? Have you been cleared? Have you had the vaccine now? Which, by the way, my husband and I are both vaccinated with the, whatever it's called, the one that starts with an N. And it's 2 shots, and we had no reactions at all. So we're feeling very comfortable now. It's great. The main thing is that you want to relax. So basically relax, be yourself, have confidence in yourself. Always have them open the door and looking at somebody that's friendly and smiling and confident. If you're brand new, I tell my students, don't tell them that this is your first signing ever. Out of hundreds and hundreds of students that I've had, I ask them, did they know it was your first signing? And they tell me, no. They asked me how many of these I do a week. Except a couple of weeks ago, I had one of my students and I asked her the same thing I always do. Did they know that this was your first signing? And she said, yes, they did. And I said, oh, what happened? She says, well, I told them. So just be confident in yourself, be yourself, but do realize that as you get older that you do face a lot more problems, and be aware of those. And if they're serious problems, just check people out before you actually, go through with the signing. And I think that's all I have.
Well, thank you, Carol. There's not really any questions in the chat about your conversation today, except somebody says, Carol, you look 50. I hope I'm like that and active like you are.
It was the music. I like the music, Ronnie.
All right. There was also another note in here that Ronnie put in here. On the Notary Stars website, there is an area where Ronnie has listed some of the extra things that we can do to help us as we get older. And one of those is nighttime driving glasses. He put an Amazon link in the chat window. They're yellow polarized nighttime driving glasses. So those are really helpful too.
Thank you, Ronnie.
So, Mr. Ronnie, you are up next, and I think your topic today is going to be netiquette.
Awesome. I'm just going to breeze past a couple of things really quick. I put the link there for the nighttime driving glasses. Miss Carol prompted me to remind me of that. One thing that we are trying to do at Notary Stars is also come up with free safety tips. I actually learned about the nighttime driving glasses through Primetime Notaries, and they meant a lot to me because, and they stay in my car now, but I promise everyone that I buy everything that I say go buy. My grandmother, when I was a kid, we used to say, can you take us to the mall? And she'd be like, I'm night blind, I can't drive after 6:30. And I thought she was lying, and she just didn't want to take us. And I wish I could raise her from the grave and be like, you were telling the truth. I now have night blindness. I'm 40, and don't let the dyed beard fool you. It's getting older every year. I'll be 41 next month. But I now have a problem driving at night, and I'm scared to drive at night, even at 40. And I know that, you know, I'm the only one in my family that doesn't wear glasses at the moment, but I really believe in those glasses because they've changed the way that I operate in the evenings. If you have that problem, please think about investing in a pair. They can save your life. And I feel like they're going to save my life and someone else's because I'm truly having a problem driving at night. So that's why I posted that. I also want to mention about back pain and problems. We also have tips for that. We mentioned that on one of our previous sessions, but I am a big believer in pain. Most of you don't know it, but I am actually sitting at a special desk and a special chair because I live in back pain. As a notary, I was ran over by a car, broke 3 vertebrae, and that's how my signing service actually started because I couldn't go out and do the mobile notary myself over 12 years ago. And so if you need advice on back pain, email me at contact@NotaryStars because I got tons of advice to get through the day. I don't take any medication, but I do use pain patches and braces, and I have lots of information for those of you who might be doing it. And then last thing before I start my topic, you also, Miss Carol, mentioned about the toiletry bag, carrying toiletry items. That is something that I do myself. And Oprah actually did a special on which you should go out and look up of how to get in and out of bathrooms without contaminating yourself in someone else's bathroom or a public restroom. I'm the biggest fan of that because I am also a germaphobe. And not so much as some people, but I am a germaphobe. But that episode is been on my mind since probably 1990 something. If you can, it's on YouTube somewhere and try to find it. But she did a whole episode on how to go into a bathroom and not touch anything and get out of the bathroom without touching anything. So if you're having that issue or have those thoughts, then please look that up. So now I'm going to get started on my topic. I want to lead in off something Miss Carol said. She said, never pretend to be something that you're not. This is something that I see on the internet, and that is the perfect comment. I actually texted Miss Beth and said, please let me go next because this leads right into the next topic. Carol and I did a video that is on YouTube called Netiquette. I'm going to summarize that here for you guys today. If you haven't heard of Netiquette, and a lot of older generation notaries might not have heard of Netiquette because it really wasn't a word until maybe 20 years ago, and you might have been busy at your career until you got into the notary industry before you heard of it. So Netiquette is etiquette on the internet. And it extends into several regions of the internet, your email, your signature, how you interact with people, the way you pick up the phone. All of these things are considered part of netiquette today. The way you speak to people in Facebook forums, the way you comment on companies. I see it all the time where notaries get on the internet and they're bickering about companies. And I want to say, you know, Unlimited Ink faces tons of scrutiny every day from notaries who say, oh, who's Unlimited Ink? And I don't like their fees. And I think, great, I'm just going to block you and I'm never going to call you again because you don't understand how the internet works. And you've now gotten on the internet and put yourself out there. We have great fees. We pay the notary 80% of what we're offering. Notary Pro and Notary Star members get first dibs on signings up to 50 miles away, then it goes to everyone else. So sometimes we're offering signings further away, but you don't understand what's going on in a signing agency's mind. You don't know the fees that they've contracted for the volume. So I see a lot of people complain about coast to coast and the fees that they're offering. Well, coast to coast is probably charging the client X amount of dollars, offering the notary this amount of dollars, and they're doing volume. I mean, they're one of the biggest signing agencies out there on SnapDocs, and they have volume for you. If you don't have a lot come through in their area, just don't take them. If you don't want to work for that fee or counter offer, I always say if you're counter offering, I see notaries wind up on blacklists consistently because they'll counter offer and be like, your fees are too low and I don't like working for that and you don't value notaries. And I think I don't have time for this. When I'm scheduling, I have 25 to 30 orders at a time in my queue to get scheduled, and so do my schedulers. And notaries who write back inappropriate responses, they can get blacklisted from our company. But if the response is too much or too bad, you can get blacklisted from all companies. I've actually pulled things that I thought were insulting. I love working for Amrock. I mean, this year, Unlimited Inc. is probably going to cross 3.5 million in revenue. And I still love working for Amrock. And I saw a notary post a bunch of negative things about Amrock. I actually reported them, and I'm shamelessly. So you need to be careful how you're operating on the internet because it is a public forum, is a public space. You want to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a position. Now, it is okay to say, hey, I had this problem with this company in a professional manner, and say, what do you think I should do about it? But here's what I see happening on the internet, and this is why we wanted to, Notary Stars has no place for notaries to comment. We post reviews about companies and things, and we have a notary rating system like yes, only if it's slow, never again. We have a rating system for companies now, but we don't allow the notaries to really engage in conversation because here's what's happening is you go into a forum, and I see this happening, and it extends into your each and individual businesses. It's not just the internet. So you go on the internet, you read all these comments about how other notaries are operating, and I can guarantee you, I literally go and look these notaries up who are brave enough to put their real name, and they're like, I don't work for less than $200. And I go look them up, and they're in the middle of nowhere. They're not in a competitive market. You know, maybe they can get $200 a signing because they're 50 miles from every place. But if you're in a competitive market, don't let that get into your head. Don't listen to the notaries on the internet that can define you as a signing agent. I've actually called notaries, and I always start every conversation like, hi, this is Ronnie from Unlimited Inc. Just calling you responded to an order. Just want to make sure that you know what you're getting into. And I've had notaries just start going off on me because of reasons that and I'm like, I don't think you understand. We're a nice signing agency. We actually care about our notaries. That's why I'm calling you. You can't let the conversation on the internet get into your head, because what happens is if it gets into your head, then you start acting like that and you think that that's okay. And that's not okay. You want to be a professional, and a professional actually understands netiquette. They actually understand how to speak to people over the phone. Email signatures, me and Ms. Carol talk about this, but that's part of netiquette. I can't stand when I get an email from a notary and they're like, I want to work for you, and you know, all these things, and it doesn't say. I can tell a lot from a phone number area code. I can tell a lot if you put a county, because I work with all of them. If it just says your name, I'm like, okay, great. You want to work for me? Archive. Because I don't know where you're located. I don't know what your phone number is. A lot of times as people write me and they have that in the signature, I call them right back. So if you want to be the example of a professional when you're working as a notary, since we're such a niche industry, start with your email address. When you're operating on the internet, make sure that you're speaking in a professional manner. Remember what your mother told you. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. We've all heard that one. I mean, you know, I was from redneck Georgia, and my mother taught me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. When you're working with other notaries on the internet, don't tell them what you think that they should do. If you want to chime in and help, tell them what a professional would do. Professionally speaking, I would send this kind of letter and I would be kind about it and see what happens. don't push another notary off the cliff. My best girlfriend in Georgia, we don't talk anymore, but when we were younger, she used to say, I don't want you to be my friend that says, I want to go key the car with you. Let's get them. You don't want to be that person. You want to be the friend to the notary or your colleagues that says, hey, wait a minute. I understand you're upset about this, but how can we resolve this professionally? How can we compose the best email that says, let me get back to this notary. They actually took the time to write this. Not every signing agency in the country is a bad agency. Every signing agency has bad, ideas on their fees. If you're in certain areas, those fees may not match up with your areas. Don't think that they're insulting you. For an instance, in Arizona, the average notary makes $75 to $90 a signing. When we send it out in California, they're like, no way. Because it's 15 minutes around, 45 minutes around the block at rush hour in Los Angeles. They're like, I can't get there and do that for $90. And I get that. So be careful and respectfully and build those relationships with people when you're working on the internet or answering the phone. It is a investment in your time to go out and find the video that Ms. Carol and I did on YouTube about netiquette and how you're operating. And then the last thing before I close up here, because I know we want to get Ms. Phyllis in to talk and we still got to get Tim in. The biggest thing is I've heard that signing agency owners should not be in Facebook groups. Well, you're wrong, because we have 152 people on this call today, and I guarantee you some of you could wind up being signing agency owners. You're going to be so good at your job that they're going to need two of you, and you're going to train one other person. And you're going to be in these Facebook groups looking for other notaries to work with or network with. I started out as a notary. I'm in almost all of the groups, and I don't get in them very often anymore, but I'm in most of the groups that all of you are in. But I've evolved over the last 6 years of being a notary. It started out, can you train one more like you? Can you get another like you? Can you do the whole state? Can you do the country? And my agency grew. Some of you on this call today are going to become signing agency owners. And you don't want to look back and be like, why can't I be a part of the conversation? And there's a lot of signing agency owners that are small signing agencies that are operating inside these groups today. And they're going to be the companies, if you don't want to become a signing agency owner, which sometimes I would like to say I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy because it is a lot of work, especially today with everything being last minute. Some of the people that you're standing next to in these Facebook forums are going to be the people you're working for in a year or 2 years when they build up their business. So keep in mind, it doesn't matter if they're a signing agency owner now or if they're going to become one. You could be standing next to and putting information out there and acting a certain way from someone. And there are notaries that I see from before I became what I am today that I've refused to work with because of the way I saw them act in forums. They're just on my blacklist, and we have enough files to give them plenty of business, but we're not working with them because of the way they operated. So that's what I'd like to tell you today. I'm going to kick it back to Miss Beth to go over to Miss Phyllis. And I know I get a little passionate when I'm talking about these things. So if I seem so serious, it is a serious topic. But I want you guys to know that I felt very passionately about this topic. So I don't want to seem like I'm preaching. But please go out and look for the video that Carol and I did. I think we did it about a year ago. You can Google it, Notary to Pro, Notary Stars. Go to YouTube and do their search bar. Look for Notary to Pro and Notary Stars Netiquette, and you'll find that video. It's an hour-long video where we really break it down. It's hard to get everything in a 10-minute, 15-minute segment, but I hope you guys will go look that up as well, because Carol and I really did a really great job on discussing netiquette for you guys.
Ronnie, I want to add one thing, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
I get emails, of course, all the time, hundreds and hundreds of emails every month. And so many of the students do not put their phone numbers in their email addresses.
Yep.
That's absolutely crucial. Somebody commented that their address, their phone number didn't match the zip code that they live in. It doesn't matter. If you're expecting people to call you, you've got to put your phone number in your actual signature line. On your email.
The best emails I see have the phone number, the email address, the counties that they service, or at least the city and areas, or zip codes. Put all of that in your signature line and make sure you do it on your phone and on your desktop, because they have two different signatures, especially if you use email, Gmail. By the way, before Miss Beth starts talking, I just want to let everybody know I'm about to post that video for Netiquette in this chat. Please watch the rest of this segment with Miss Phyllis talking. She's got an important topic too, but I'm going to post that for you guys to copy and go back and visit after this is done, or tomorrow when you guys want.
All great information for sure. Just be careful what you post in Facebook groups for sure. And that leads us to Miss Phyllis Traylor, and she's going to talk about general notary ethics, which is very, very important. Take it away, Miss Phyllis.
Thank you, Beth and Ronnie. That was great information. I can't emphasize enough how you have to be careful with what you're posting in social media. Once it's posted on the internet, it's there forever. Even if you take it down, people can still get back to it. So it's there. It's not gone. So you just need to keep that in mind. And not only do signing services um, are out there on Facebook looking at these notary groups. You know, if you are somebody that's working full time, employers are out there looking at these groups. So, be careful. Okay, so today I want to talk about notary ethics and avoiding conflicts of interest. I am in our Texas Notary Patron group. Right now, we are going through Professor Clausen's book, Notary Best Practices. And we're on chapter 19. And chapter 19 covers notary ethics and avoiding conflicts of interest. So I just want to talk a little bit about that. So, Professor Clouton, in his book, he listed about 17 or 18 different notary ethics that we should look at. And I'm not gonna go through all of them, but I'm just gonna highlight a few of them. And so the first one is the notary should, as a commissioned public officer, understand that during the performance of official duties, the notary is governed by ethical standards. So this is the very first one in that chapter. And so basically what he's referring to is that as notaries, we are privy to a lot of confidential information. We're also involved in transactions costing thousands upon thousands of dollars. I mean, just doing the loan closings alone, we are involved in some pretty high dollar transactions. We also have the opportunity to work with high profile people. So we have to take into consideration not only the ethical requirements of our job, but we also have to know how to practice discretion. And as Ronnie was talking about making posts on Facebook about the different signing agencies, um, what I have seen in a lot of the different Facebook groups with notaries is a lot of notaries will post a lot of information about a signer. And they might not post that signer's name, but there's a lot of information about the signer and that particular signing. And even though it's almost crossing that line. And I think you should use caution too when you are posting information about a particular signing that you experienced that day too. You just don't want to get into a whole lot of details because we have an ethical responsibility to whoever's signature that we notarize. The second one I want to discuss is the notary should be familiar with the published notary ethics standards. So you should familiarize yourself with the Notary Code of Ethics. Now, the National Notary Association has the Notary Public Code of Professional Responsibility that was published in 2020. So that is a free publication that can be downloaded from the National Notary Association's website. I highly encourage you to download that publication. Good information, answers a lot of questions. It's based on the 10 guiding principles established by the National Notary Association. The American Association of Notaries also has a one-page list of notary ethics that they also provide. And again, Professor Clausen's book, chapter 19, discusses notary ethics. So you have several different sources that you can pull from that deal directly with notary ethics. Okay. The next one, the notary should abide by the ethical duty to become and to remain informed about notary law and best practices. That's our responsibility. We have to know the laws of our state. A lot of states don't have any required training, such as I'm in Texas, we don't have any required training as Texas notaries. However, you are still required to know what you can and can't do, even if there's no required training. So that puts the burden on the notary themselves to go out there and make sure that they get their training, that they're properly trained and ready to notarize somebody's signature before they even attempt to do it. I always tell my patrons, you're not ready yet till at least you have completed some type of formal training. Once you completed that formal training, then you'll know what questions to ask. And then you're ready to get out there and start notarizing those signatures. We also don't have since we don't have any required training in Texas, we don't have any continuing education in Texas. But that doesn't mean that you don't train. That doesn't mean that you don't keep up with the changes. That doesn't mean that you don't, always keep abreast of what's going on. The next one, the notary should abide by the ethical duty to follow notary law and best practices in the performance of each document notarization. So this says each document notarization, not sometimes, but all the times. So we have to be careful when we're notarizing those documents, notarizing those signatures on those documents each and every time that we do it, whether we're notarizing for a friend, a co-worker, whatever. We have to be careful to make sure that we are doing this in a proper manner, obeying the laws of your state, and also, even if your state does not require it, use a journal. Use a journal. That journal is going to save you. Next one, the notary should abide by the ethical duty to act with reasonable care and prudence in the performance of each document notarization. Bottom line, ethical notaries perform their duties carefully with diligence. Ethical notaries are not reckless, they're not careless, they're not negligent. They'll take their time and they'll do it right. You're not going to let somebody hurry up and try to rush you to complete something. You're going to do it properly. Ethical notaries will not jeopardize the interests of the document signers or the document itself. The next one is the notary should abide by the ethical duty to act with impartiality and honesty in the performance of each document notarization. Now, this requires complete avoidance of any interest in the document being signed. It requires clear and honest communication, advertising, and billing. I've heard some horror stories when it comes to billing. We know that as mobile notaries, we can charge in most states a travel fee. But just because we can charge a travel fee doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be an exorbitant fee. We need to make sure that when we're charging these fees, that we are charging reasonable fees. It's so easy to get in trouble by overcharging somebody. So like in Texas, we can charge a fee for the notarization itself, and we can also charge a travel fee. I read a comment on somebody's website. They were being reviewed by one of their clients, and the client was upset because the notary had an office. So the client was going to meet the notary at the notary's office. The notary told the client, I'm only going to be here. No, the notary told the client, I'm getting ready to leave. So instead of meeting you at my office, I'm going to meet you at a McDonald's about a block away from my office. The client was just like, okay, no problem. Because again, the notary was getting ready to shut down for the day and get ready to leave. So the client met the notary at that McDonald's a block away from his office. The notary charged the client $60 for that notarization. And the client was like, was only expecting to pay $6 because initially he was meeting the notary at his office. But then just meeting the notary a block away from his office, even if he had to pay a travel fee, he didn't expect it to be such a high travel fee. They hadn't discussed it or anything. After he finished the notarization, the notary said that'll be $60. And so the client was upset about this. And there is a little bit of ethical dilemma associated with that particular transaction in my eyes. I mean, $60 is to me a lot to travel to charge for a travel fee for somebody that's only going a block. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. Uh, Next one is notary should abide by the ethical duty to act with impartiality and honesty in the performance of each document notarization. So this requires complete avoidance of any interest in the document being signed, clear and honest communication, and this was one we just got through talking about. Okay, last one. The notary should abide by the ethical duty to refrain from notarizing for any known member of the notary's family in any degree of relationship by blood, marriage, or adoption. Now, this is one we get all the time. People want to know if they can notarize signatures for their family members. Now, in some states, it is not against the law to notarize for family members. However, you shouldn't notarize a document, somebody's signature on a document, and you're included in that document in some manner. Some references made to you, or you can benefit monetarily from whatever stated in that document. So even though it's not stated in some states that you can't notarize for a family member, I would I would be cautious about that and to avoid any future, I would just say don't do it as a best practice. Don't notarize documents for your family members. And that is my last um, my last tip on notary ethics.
I have to say, Miss Phyllis, I was manning the chat and all of these things, and I just want to say great content. And I want to thank you for bringing that today. The story about the traveling to the McDonald's and charging a travel fee when they weren't expecting it. I see stories like this all the time, and it's probably one of the quickest ways to get blacklisted with signing agencies pulling shenanigans like that. But I see notaries doing it all the time, and I hear colleagues. I remember I was a notary before I was a signing agency or a trainer, and I heard colleagues doing things like that to get a little extra buck out of them. And this is how I get it. You need to come up with your fees, your legal fees that you can charge, and stick to them and provide a service. And if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But don't do things like that, because you're going to hurt yourself in the long run. So I just wanted to say, oh, Miss Beth has got the book there.
That's our Bible in my patron community, Professor Clausen's book.
Thank you, Phyllis. That was awesome presentation. And it's also a great reminder to a lot of us who have been in the business for quite a long time. You know, you can't rest on your laurels. You have to have good notary ethics. Our next guest, what are you doing, Ronnie?
Before we introduce Mr. Tim, which I just posted a link to the flyers that we have for him, I just want to let everybody know I'm about to also post the sign up link next session. And we didn't go over this in the meeting, so that's why I'm interrupting. We will be bringing in health insurance experts for notaries where you can sign up all year long. I'm actually going to post that link in the chat. Please listen to Mr. Tim. But before the end of the day, make sure you grab that link and register for that event. You have to register for it. There is going to be, we'll introduce it on Primetime Notaries, but we already have an event planned. So make sure you register if you're interested, or you or your family members need health insurance. I'll be posting that in the chat. So go ahead, Miss Beth. Sorry about that.
Perfect. So if you're a new notary or an existing notary, you have come to realize in the last 18 months that our ability to get document printers that are dual tray or smart printers that can handle a large volume of printing has kind of dwindled. Our kind of darling printer that we've been using for years is always in the Brother line. We used to have HP years ago, and it fell out of grace because of very poor customer service. So everybody moved toward the Brother printer. Those Brother printers have been scarce these last 18 months. We have a special guest with us today, Mr. Tim Ramsey from RPM Services, and I think he's got something he can hook us up with some printers. Mr. Ramsey, would you like to unmute yourself and take it away?
All righty. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Ronnie, for having me on as well. Phyllis, I'm right up the road from you here in Austin, Texas, up a scary drive up I-35. And I'd like to say happy anniversary to Carol. But I've been in business here in Austin for about 8 years now. I've got a dozen years of experience, and it's in the HP business. So, but I do have a number of models right now that I concentrate on and that I believe in, and I've done quite a bit of business with notaries here in Central Texas and actually all over the state of Texas. And I've got customers in all 50 states, and basically, we get them down to the screws and get them completely refurbished with new, oil change and all that jazz, new tires, so to speak. But we get them safely packaged up. We get them shipped out to you as quick as we can. Shipping prices have gone up a little bit, as I'm sure you all know, as far as with FedEx and UPS, gas prices going up. But I do, on the other side of that, Beth was talking about how she uses Brother. I do also have quite a large supply of toner outlets all over the country. So most of my suppliers can get you really, really great competitive priced toner cartridges, usually overnight for ground price shipping. So, and I do have a same day delivery cutoff, and those all come with a year warranty. So, as long as it's not dropped off of a truck or run over, we can get that replaced, no questions asked. I do include a lot of material, to help you once you do get it at your location for installation. And, I can arrange a Zoom or FaceTime call with me or one of my techs and we can get you set up to make sure you're completely satisfied with the product and the service to get you going. And like Beth said, it is, we do specialize right now in luckily I do have a pretty good supply and a good supply chain, locally in Texas. Luckily we've got a good, good set of vendors, but we can get you set up with the dual tray with the smart printers that, can go 40 to 50 pages a minute and get you, one less thing to worry about. I've been in business where I've got to be in San Antonio, Austin, and then Dallas all in the same day. And night driving is no fun, and definitely not on I-35. So I can definitely relate. So, with that being said, I think that's pretty much what I've got. And if you, Ronnie or Beth, if you guys have anything to add or any questions, let me know.
So you have new printers and refurbished as well as supplies.
Right now, I'm specializing a lot in refurbished. My guys, they basically make these refurbished printers almost like new on the inside, performance-wise. You can't beat the price on those, because if you want to go brand new, you're gonna be spending 2 to 3 times as much after shipping. We do our own tech support and warranty work. You don't have to go through HP. So that's a whole another level of gatekeeping that you don't have to deal with. So, and I've got all kinds of customers. I've seen almost all of it. I mean, I've only been in business for 8 years, but it seems like I've dealt with legal services, notaries, builders, you name it, from top to bottom, all kinds of printing needs. And I've really gotten all the questions, or a lot of the questions, to be experienced enough to talking to people and how to use these things and them being reliable. So
I have a lot of students, Notary Pro graduates, that have gone to you. Within the last year, we got your name and number and sent it out if you want to print.
Yeah, a lot of Jeff Euler up in Oregon, Ken Eaglehouse, a few others down in San Antonio. I try to stay in touch with them as much as possible, and they've been great. So
I haven't met Ken in person, but now that I'm in Texas, I can.
Well, and as far as like shipping goes, like I do like it when somebody's just down the road, because FedEx and UPS do like to kick things down the stairs. And I've been picking up 50 to 75, and I'm afraid to say 100+ pound printers for 8 years now, because I'm hands-on about it. But they're delicate machines, but the ones that I deal with are made to last, and they'll take a licking and keep on ticking. You don't have to go office space on them. So
I just want to add one thing for those who are watching the replay and those who are watching right now. I've posted 3 times now. Before Mr. Tim came on, I posted it while he was talking, and I've also posted it twice now because I mistyped it. There's a link. So on Notary Stars, I always say I don't post anything that I haven't purchased myself, but these are, and I've been saying this lately, because of the printer shortage, we connected with Mr. Tim because of his transparency and all of the things that I think he's standing for, to make sure that he's got someone reserved for us. And I did post a link to the flyers that he created for us. So if you go on the link that we posted in the chat, for those of you who watch the replay, if you can't see the link, it's on notarystars.com. It's a public link. You go to Notary Resources and go to Best Printers, and he'll be the second option. So the printers that he has on there, those are the flyers that you can download with all of his contact information, so that you can contact him if you're in need of a printer. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I did notice someone posted in the chat about the toner distributors, and these are aftermarket remanufactured cartridges. And I've vetted a lot of them to make sure that they're, I mean, everything has a failure rate sometimes. So, but they do have a good warranty system, and they're quick to ship out replacements. But they're all over the country. I mean, I've got them in Corona, California. I've got them in Tennessee. I've got them in Houston, Dallas, Chicago, you name it, East Coast, West Coast. So they're all, and they do, if you've got a question about it, even if you don't buy a printer, if you've got a question about some toner pricing, either take a picture or get the model number of your printer, whether it's a Brother MFC, 9132 as an example. I can figure out, what kind of drum pricing or toner pricing you need, and just, if I can beat what you're getting it, and make sure it's a quality product, and great. If not, then I appreciate the offer, or the opportunity.
Well, and Tim, it's like everybody's breathing a sigh of relief that we've got your name and have a way to get in touch with you, because it's been a real issue for us.
And I wish I could have gotten in touch with you sooner, but this has been a crazy year, which is probably the understatement of the century, millennium. I don't know. So
Tim's contribution to our plight is Tim is offering a 20% discount to one person, one lucky person who gets the magic number. I'm not going to tell you what the magic number is, but in the chat window, type a number between 1 and 50. The first one to hit on the magic number gets that.
Ooh, I think I saw it.
Yeah, it just went really fast, didn't it?
Look at all those.
May have to give a couple of discounts.
Okay, so we do have a winner. It's Miss Kathy Miller. Oh gosh, she's from Hawaii, Tim.
Alrighty. If you need help shipping that to Hawaii, I will help you cover the cost.
I think Hawaiian Airlines just started flying out of Austin direct to Honolulu, so.
I'll be happy to hand deliver it if you want me to go to Hawaii.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
You play golf, Ronnie?
What was that?
Do you play golf?
I love golf. My back doesn't, but I love it.
Gotcha. Well, there's a lot of great courses here in Austin, so.
Okay, so tell Kathy how to get in touch with you, or to reap the benefit of your 20% discount on any of her purchases.
All right, sounds good. Looks like I'm going to be busy this weekend going to Hawaii.
All righty. Okay, guys. Anything else? Nothing else we want to add? Phyllis, do you have one last thought?
Just want to remind people, remember your notary ethics. We do have ethics that we should always adhere to. So please remember those. And I want to thank you for joining us. This says a lot about you as notaries, for taking the time on a Wednesday evening after work to continue your education. We do have some great people in our industry. Thank you.
And Miss Carol, any last thoughts from you?
Yes, just first of all, I'm grateful for all of the people that have shown enough interest in learning and absorbing what we have to offer. So thank you for coming. And also just remember, if you're a loan signing agent or doing notarizations, just always be yourself. It'll make you relaxed and feeling better and keep you healthy.
Thank you, Carol. Mr. Ronnie, one last thought from you?
Yes, I just want to say I agree with Miss Phyllis, and I also agree with Miss Carol on their final thoughts. And I know this is probably going to steal yours from you, so come up with a new one. But Miss Carol says, be yourself. Miss Phyllis said that, remember your ethics. Miss Beth always says, reach back and grab a notary and bring them with you. For all of you that are here with us today, you care about your career. I mean, I know there was 150 people on the call tonight, and I know how many people will watch it. I can already anticipate it. This event has been growing and growing and growing, but you're here because you care about your career. Or if you're rewatching this, you care about your career. There are some that don't know how to care about their career. And that's what we mean by reach back and grab someone and bring them along with you. Goes into my segment for tonight. And I know I'm the long-winded one, but when you see those people commenting on the internet, don't get into the conversation, but say, hey, come watch this group one night with us. Come to this place with us. Bring your industry around. We don't have an HR. I say this all the time. We don't have an HR. We're all independent contractors, whether we're a signing agency or an individual notary or somewhere in between. Bring someone along with you for the journey. Make sure that we come together as a community. I love how this group keeps growing and you guys keep tuning in and bringing more people. But please just remember, and I love Ellen when she says, be careful when she says, be careful about becoming the be kind lady. Be kind to one another, love one another, understand one another. And if you don't understand your colleague, try to understand them. The least you can do is try.
And yeah, you stole my thunder, but you know what? We're all gonna do it together. Everybody raise your hand up. Come on, I gotta see your hands.
And turn on your
There you go.
cameras.
Reach back, grab somebody, grab another notary, grab a friend, grab a colleague, bring them along with you on the journey. Show them the way. All right, guys? Thanks, everybody. You have a good evening. It
Make
was
sure to turn
very-
on your camera and
Yeah,
wave.
everybody turn on your cameras.
We're gonna flip through this and let everybody see us waving. Wave to the next notary that's gonna be here next week. Wave to yourself if you're gonna watch the replay, but make sure to wave because we are waving to the future.
All right, guys. Bye. Have a
Jazz
good evening. Thank
hands.
you, Tim. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Phyllis and Mr. Ronnie. Thank you, everybody, for being here.